Welcome him to the stage. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey there.
All right, hold on. I was too busy watching Aaron's talk. I'm not ready for the questions. Give me 1 second. Questions. Ready. All right. I don't know if these are the latest. Not a lot of questions with votes on this. People, if you have questions for these guys, ask them. Given the sheer amount of comments I saw on Aaron's talk, I know there should be a lot of questions. So I'm going to refresh my stream here real quick. So give me 1 second. Let's go back full screen on that. No, not a lot of questions over here. I don't know why. Okay. James, this one's for you. The first one's for you, bro.
All right.
How do you use interceptors with AngularFire? I tried a couple times, but it doesn't fire Angular interceptors.
Yeah. So interceptors aren't going to work, unfortunately, for most of AngularFire, because those are going to be going over a socket connection, right? It's not going to be a traditional HTTP. That's how we get those real-time natures. There's going to be a socket, and even if you did intercept them, what's going over the sockets is raw protobufs, so not a lot of use there. But if people have thoughts on how to make the AngularFire library more testable, please let me know. Just get in touch. One of the things that has made it a lot better is now we actually have emulator support coming from Firestore in the real-time database, which should make close those loops a little bit for testing in particular. If you want to see a good example of that, actually look at the AngularFire tests. Almost all of them are now using the Firebase emulators. Thanks for the question.
We're having some technical things going on our end. Sorry. All right, Brandon.
Yep.
Question for you, Brandon. Any plans to add support for route aliases?
Aliases.
And in parens it says adding a name to the route so I don't have to hard code my paths in my app.
No, not at the moment. Even when we redesigned the Angular router, the path or name aliases came up there, and it was more flexible to build URLs based on the path segments there. So it was a discussion that we had back and forth, and I think it's proven itself out to work better that way. So I wouldn't foresee there being name aliases there out of the box anyway.
AngularJS developers, man, we're missing the path aliasing. Admit it. All right. Aaron, you ready for a question?
Yep.
All right. What are the upcoming pre-built machine learning models in TensorFlow?
What are the upcoming pre-built models in TensorFlow?
Yeah, like what's anything cool coming down the pipelines that people can know about?
I'm not exactly sure what they're planning to build right now because they don't publicly release what they're building right now.
Okay. They don't talk a lot ahead of time. They just kind of let you know when it's out.
Once they release it, they talk a lot about it. But if they haven't released it yet, they don't say anything about it.
Classic Google. Mm-hmm. They do the same thing with Angular. We get you, man. Classic Firebase team.
Just keeping it close to the vest. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Aaron. Aaron, another question. A lot of people actually are voted this up. This might be the top voted question of the conference this far, just so you know, Aaron.
Okay.
What is a typical day like for you?
What is a typical day like for me?
A lot of people like us are baffled by you intellectually and socially. We want to know, what is your day like? What is a day like for Aaron Ma?
Okay, so a typical school day, normally around 7:30 or something, I'll just wake up, and then from 8:38 to 3 o'clock, I'll be at school. And then around 3:20, I'll arrive at home, and that's when I start doing my homework. And once I'm done with my homework, I just basically do my computer science stuff. It's basically my day in short.
So, do you teach the class at school, or are you taking the class?
I can't teach at school.
Okay.
But I'm taking the classes.
So you're part of the class.
Yeah, I'm part of class.
Okay, cool.
But I'm not learning anything at school.
People were going to ask, so I had to ask. And then your computer science stuff, is that self-assigned, or is dad assigning? Did mom assign it to you, or how are you getting these computer science assignments?
Self-assigned.
Self-assigned.
Yeah, because I just love computers.
Yeah. So I remember when we did a podcast, me and you, you kind of said sometimes dad slows you down, so you're just like, Dad, leave me alone. I got this. Is that how it is?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes.
Your dad's such a nice guy. Okay. 69. Oh, yeah. Easily. Any 3 questions don't have as many votes on that, just so you know. How do you manage to learn so many things? That's the next question. That's for you, Aaron.
Okay. So I think the real reason why I learned so many things was because I think I started early. Because when I was 5, that's when I actually started to like love computers. Like every day, once I get home, I would like just do computer science stuff and just keep learning.
Yeah, no. I mean, when 5-year-olds, when all of us started programming at 5, that's kind of how it was for the rest of us too. So that makes sense. All right. So the next question is for Aaron as well. I think we got some more for you gentlemen, lower, but I'm going to keep going on these Aaron ones. Okay. Aaron, in ML, what's the difference between accuracy and loss? Are they just opposites, or do they actually measure different concepts?
So accuracy is actually a completely different thing than loss. So accuracy is basically the total number of predictions that your model got right divided by all of the predictions. And loss is basically measuring the error of your model. That's what loss. So basically, exact opposite thing. So accuracy is measuring the correct of your model, and loss is the error of your model. In short.
But to your point, not erring is not the same as being accurate, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did I use the double negative? It's confusing. I apologize. All right.
I believe the question was, what things should we consider when using routes in Angular, and why would someone use Angular router versus the router that I proposed today?
Yeah.
The things you should consider when using routes in Angular is, I would say, stick to using guards versus resolvers. For using guards, if you're using NGRX, I would say use guards exclusively and push data into the store. Store some information, store minimal amount of information with your route data. Try to use the streams that are available from the Angular router now to kind of map into like the data streams. Streams in the okay, cool. The data streams in your components. So, why would you use the Angular router or use this router that I proposed today versus the Angular router? Is that I think that community projects have been built very successfully around Angular, the core of Angular. And I'd like to see more of those projects and to see, of course, help the community expand and these projects to help push innovation and collaboration within the community as well as with upstream Angular. So,
James, you hear me?
Yes, I do.
All right, cool. So we got a question. Do you need to deploy your app to Firebase to take advantage of the new Google Analytics plugin? And can you use Firebase just for specific features like GA?
Yeah, absolutely. So everything's modular, right? Really, we're releasing a lot of tools around Google Cloud and the services there, but those aren't necessary, right? If you just want to use the Google Analytics pieces, go right ahead. Pull that in. Just use those. If you just want to use remote config, go for it. If you just want to deploy a quick little Angular app on Firebase hosting, you can do so. You don't have to use any of the other services. Really, it's the idea is that we're trying to build tools to help you. And I don't have a strong opinion whether or not that means that you're hosted on Google Cloud or using our databases, right? It's that if you're using pieces of Google technology, I want to build things to help make that more seamless in Angular.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay, going back to the top over here. Oh yeah, Aaron Ma.
Okay.
Aaron. What's the hardest thing about getting started with TensorFlow?
What's the hardest thing about getting started with TensorFlow?
Yep.
The hardest thing. I would say the hardest thing for me is actually just like installing TensorFlow. Because when you're trying to install, there's like a million problems that can come up. For example, now when I first tried installing TensorFlow, like my computer wouldn't even recognize what exactly is TensorFlow. So I just keep getting these like errors or something. Eventually, I figured out how to fix them. So
I think I remember you telling me the other hard thing for you was that since you're a kid, you didn't really get all the access to all the same APIs and everything, and so you had to go.
yes, that's another thing.
Tell me about that.
So that's actually for Udacity. So like last year, for Christmas, I wanted to enroll into Udacity self-driving engineering degree program, and my dad said yes, so I enrolled in it. It's like 2 days after I enrolled, I got an official email from Udacity and said, "We have canceled your subscription to Udacity self-driving engineering program because you are under 13 years old." So I was like kind of angry, but eventually,
you wanted to do self-driving car stuff.
Yeah, and then eventually, I got into contact with Udacity CEO, and eventually, he was pretty nice, and he said,
Yeah,
okay,
you just got in contact with Sebastian Thrun, like one does.
Mm-hmm. So that's how I eventually graduated from the self-driving car degree program.
Wow. Okay.
He's just like, get me on the phone with the CEO. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
He's like,
Did your assistant call Sebastian, or who called Sebastian? Aaron, can you hear me?
Can you repeat, please?
Yeah. Did your assistant call Sebastian, or did you call him?
I didn't call him. I actually emailed him.
Gotcha.
I was like Googling, and I figured out his email address on Google.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. There's some questions in the chat, so I had to clear that up. Good. Okay. Are there any plans to integrate PWA, NW? Come on. And Firebase Service Worker. Are there any plans to integrate the Angular PWA and the Firebase Service Worker?
Yeah, actually. So I didn't make the cut for 6.0, but the community has found a couple good workarounds for integrating those. And one of the things that I'm planning on bringing in, and probably 6.1 once I, address all the 6.0 issues and add some new stuff, it'll be tighter integration between the two. Jeff Delaney did some great videos there on Angular Firebase or Fireship.io now, where he worked through some of those problems. And, the word from the community is that those workarounds are working pretty well. So we'll probably just build them into the library.
Okay. Two questions left. Three. The last two are the most serious. Is ngrx-router a new component, or was that some sort of pseudocode that you were throwing down on your slides?
It's an actual component, and yeah, the ngrx router is a component. The ngrx route is a component, and you can see those. There's actual working code in the GitHub repo that I shared during the talk.
Okay.
I didn't figure out have enough time to do the demo, but yeah, you can definitely dive in and see all the components there.
Okay.
What's there on the GitHub repo.
Okay. So second to last question, will the three of you share your slides on Twitter?
Definitely.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll be sharing my slides using @AaronHMaw.
Cool. James, what's your Twitter handle, bud?
James Uriah, JamesUriah, and I'll share my slides.
Okay. Brandon, @Brandon Roberts.
I'll not share my slides. I'm Brandon T. Roberts.
Brandon T. Roberts. Okay, cool. Last question. It's the top of the list. I have to answer. Aaron, consider it seriously before you give it. Is Aaron Ma going to conquer the world?
I don't know. I never know.
There's only one answer. When you get asked that, the answer is always yes.
Yes.
You never know because life is an
I'm just
endless
waiting for
curveball.
it to happen. So
Yeah. Life's an endless curveball. Deep thoughts by
You never
Aaron
know what's going to
H.
happen.
All right. That's the right
It
answer.
might happen at any time.
Okay.
Yeah, we've all gotten a lot of curveballs the past couple weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
definitely.
All right, gentlemen. Appreciate your
I won't be
talks.
surprised though.
Appreciate your talks. I know it was hard to prepare all this stuff in light of what's been going on, so appreciate your time. Thank you.